It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Patrick Reusse joins me. I am Michael Rand. Patrick, I feel like I say it every week, but I mean it every week. We got a lot to get to today. And here's the thing. We're going to start in Vikings. We'll get into some Gophers, probably some Minnesota United soccer. They got eliminated from the playoffs on Sunday. And I got to talk Timberwolves, too, because as soon as I wrote something really mean about them a few days ago, they started playing really well.
Yeah, that happens.
It does. It
I
does.
gotta tell you this, Mike. I was investigating that. I was in researching the Turkey of the Year award yesterday.
Yes.
Generally, I go through your stuff for the year, just looking at the headlines and then my stuff and a couple others, just to make sure. And then I look around a little more, and it is an amazing the number of headlines we run across that kind of came out the opposite here. There's a I had my share, and so did you. That this is this is what it looks like, and then about 10 minutes later, it doesn't look like that after it appears. So it's which is what makes it fun. But unfortunately, ever since the internet came along, people can discover that very quickly.
Yes. When the facts change, my opinion changes, Patrick. How about that?
Yes, that's true. Well, you're not alone on that. You're not alone on that. I'm not whitewashing myself on this. That's for sure. So,
well, speaking of that's a good segue, because I was as I was watching the Vikings Packers at the 2-minute warning, I was writing a blog post in my head about how this is why you can't trust Kirk Cousins in big situations. You got to move on from him, stuff like that, because it looked like he had thrown the game, what would have been probably the game-defining interception. You go to break, you come back out of break, you find out that the Packers defensive back had actually, the ball had come out a little bit as he came to the ground. No interception on the play. They end up going down, scoring the game-winning field goal. Cousins engineers the winning scoring drive. The narrative changes 180 degrees on a little shift of a ball, but a fantastic game on Sunday. And long story short is now we're writing nice things about Kirk Cousins instead of mean things about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. What did you think of that call?
I thought it was a good call. I mean, when the ball hits, when he hit the ground and the ball moves, that's a. I mean, I don't know if I love the rule, but it was the right call.
Yeah, but I mean, what's movement? Is it the idea that you still have a grasp on the ball is I don't know. It's you knew what they were going to call because they're idiots, but that's an interception in my world. But anyway, that's okay. I'll tell you one thing. They got a pretty good got a pretty good day out of Scott Hockley for themselves, didn't they? He made every call they made in that game was really hurt the Packers, and we've spent all our years saying that the referees favor the Packers. Not on Sunday. They drove them down the field for one of their touchdowns. The Hockley led drive when they called him very chintzy roughing the passer, and another really chintzy pass interference. I got it. The Vikings certainly was an exciting game and a great win, but the impact of officiating on NFL games drives me nuts. It's that they are so aggressive in calling penalties. It just drives me crazy. And I think it amazes me how popular the game remains when there's no game, to me, more impacted by officiating than an NFL game. That said, it was certainly a memorable game, and the Packer defense that had been playing so well, something happened to them because they were pretty awful, and the Vikings had their way with them. They couldn't do anything with Jefferson, that's for sure.
No, and he had himself a game. It's amazing what happens when you magically remember to start getting the ball to your best players. That was the weirdest storyline from a couple of weeks ago, where it was like,
yes,
we figured it out. Here's what we've been doing wrong. We haven't been getting the ball to our best players. Like, well, what a great idea. And they did it again yesterday. And look at that. They're 2-0 since they started getting the ball to their best offensive players and trusting their offense. Because if they go conservative in that game, there's no way they win that game.
No, that's true. And the offensive line, God love him. We love to beat on him, but he hasn't faced that much pressure the last couple of weeks either. He was, and as I said, the Packers, are missing most of their rushers, but the offensive line is. We love to get on him every time somebody gets within 6 feet of that guy. Well, he was pressured, whatever their interpretation of pressure is. Sometimes it's his own fault, and the offensive line's been good. And we had each team had a couple of sacks, and it was an offensive display, that's for sure. And when they fell behind, as I said on Twitter, giving up that 75-yard pass was genius. It got him. Over 2 minutes to come back and win the game. Plus, otherwise, Rodgers would have just went down the field, scored the tying touchdown, and you would have went to overtime, right?
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
But hey, what the hell?
Unless Crosby missed the extra point.
Yeah, that's true. So what's wrong with him?
I don't know. I think they're blaming the operation. They're blaming the snap, the snap, the hold. He's got new stuff of that.
I had when was it, a month ago? He missed 4 one night or something.
Cincinnati, yeah, almost cost him that game.
Yeah, he's when he had a horrible period. What, about 6-7 years ago? He was the worst kicker in the league, and they kept him. But he's got that going too. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, the Vikings, they played great. They got some great breaks yesterday too, and I guess that's how the modern NFL game is determined.
Yeah, and like I said, you're right. They get the ball back, and that's it does make there was a certain amount of sense to that, but then looked like Cousins threw an interception on the first opportunity he had to be a hero. I mean, what a reprieve. I mean, think about how I can't think of a game where the narrative would have been much different from one thing changing.
Because let's face it, deep in our hearts, we don't like the guy. It's just he's when he tries not to be arrogant, he's more offensive than when he's just his arrogant self. And his delivery of comments and his whole attitude towards life. He's an easy guy not to like. And plus we turned on him. Fans are goofy. We always resent the amount of money that somebody's making, and now he's making 40 next year or something.
45.
We like to turn on him. So this would have been you're right. The post game shows would have been just nonstop. You can't win with Cousins, right? That's all they would have been. And now it's oh man, you know what? He might be better than Rodgers.
Well, it's all Justin Jefferson, and they might make the playoffs. I mean, they're 5-5 now.
Oh well, they are one of the 2 playoff teams right now.
They're the 6th. I think they're the 6th seed right now. Yes, they're not even the 7th seed right now.
Well, yeah, they're in the right conference too, because the other conference got all these plus 500 teams, and this conference doesn't. No, you look at the schedule. This can be hard. All you got to do is win 9, right? If you go 9.
Probably. I mean, just the fact that there's kind of 2 spots up for grabs now instead of just the 1, because New Orleans keeps losing.
Yeah. New Orleans isn't. They don't have a quarterback, for goodness sakes, and so yeah, I think they're in. I mean, I'm not in, but the schedule gets easier. Now San Francisco's come alive again, and they're not going to be a walkover, But you get to play. I don't care about it. You can go on and on and on about how the Bears, you never win in Soldier Field. They're going to win. This Bears team stinks. By the way, they're going to ruin a lot of Thanksgiving dinners by making everybody nauseous watching that first game on Thursday, aren't they? Bears Lions, boy, can't wait. They kept having ads on that.
Final
but they got
score 9-8. Final score.
They got 3 games left with those mutts. They don't have, they just got through their toughest stretch and they went 3-1, right?
2-2.
2-2. Okay. Yeah, that's right. They were 3-5 and now they won 2-2. So they had this 4-game stretch that was going to bury them. And now they're, Zim was a happy guy yesterday, man. He was ebullient on the sidelines after pulling that one out. So
yeah,
I think it's first time all year he looked like a guy who doesn't think he's going to get fired, on the sidelines.
If I can read lips, I think I saw some choice words coming out of his mouth in celebration yesterday too. It was pretty funny going back to his Hard Knocks days. If I'm reading lips correctly.
Yeah. But, it's, I would imagine the narrative is far different in Milwaukee and Green Bay today about why that game was lost, don't you think?
The Packers fans were blaming the officiating already. It was a nice little role reversal because the Vikings fans will tell you that was the first time in 60 years that they've ever gotten the breaks.
Yeah, against the Packers, right? But they are blaming the officials, and they're probably right. But I hate this guy Hakala. He comes onto the field every game, looks around and says, "Look at all the people who came to see me." It's just like the old man. I've been bashing him long before. I think I wrote a whole column about 6 weeks ago bashing the NFL officials, and he was the lead run. I watched him one night and it was horrible. You didn't know that you watch plays and then you got to wait 15 seconds every time to see if some jackass ran up and threw a penalty flag. It just drives me nuts. What game was I watching? Late game yesterday. There had to be like 6 straight plays that after the Viking game was over, I was watching a game. There had to be 6 straight plays with a flag.
Yeah.
You gotta be, the league's theory has to be don't throw it unless you have to. It's just the opposite. What can I throw a flag on this time? I think maybe that was roughing the passer, even though it wasn't anything near that. Yeah, what the hell? I'll just turn the game around right here and throw a flag. It's incredible to me. It's worse than the college guys. And this taunting.
Oh,
God almighty. Did you see the one guy? He scored the touchdown. He pointed. He pointed. All he did was pointed like, "Hey, I just scored a touchdown, 15 yards." For the Kansas City guy had to make a 48-yard extra point. There's all these old white jackasses, 75 years old, Rich McKay and the rest of them sitting on the competition committee saying, "Oh, this is terrible for the game." When is the last? We got to prevent violence and stuff. How many fights do you have in a football game in the NFL a year? 2?
Right.
Not like they're solving a problem that did not exist.
Yeah.
So
the one that drives me crazy is the third down, like illegal contact penalty on the defense.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like it happens on every single play. Like if someone's just like touched someone 7 yards past the line of scrimmage, suddenly the flag comes out, and that one drives me crazy more than anything else. It's like you give it an automatic first down on a play that probably doesn't deserve it.
Doesn't stop us though. I guess it just gives them. It gets another conversation point, which is what keeps the NFL going, right?
Yeah.
We have 3 teams every game to discuss, right? The home team, the visiting team, and the referees. And it's another thing to scream about. I mean, how often do we leave a college game that we watch and all we're talking about is the officiating? So not as often as in the NFL. So
speaking of 3 teams and the college game, Patrick, you did the math last week, but appears now that the Gophers actually do still have a shot at the Big Ten West Championship. 3 things need to happen. Iowa needs to lose to Nebraska, and we'll know that Friday. Try this out. Have you looked at by the way, I'll run through the things that have to happen. So Iowa's got to lose to Nebraska. Purdue has to beat Indiana, which is certainly doable. And the Gophers have to beat Wisconsin.
Golden Valley High School could beat
yes.
Indiana, and they don't even exist anymore. and then Gophers have to win, obviously. Yeah. Now the when I looked at the 3-way, I interpreted it differently than, because Wisconsin hasn't lost within the division, and the Vikings have lost. The Gophers twice. So I thought that was just that tiebreaker was that simple, but when it gets to me, it gets more complicated than that. And yes, if the Nebraska, which is I was surprised Iowa opened as 6.5 point favorites. And
Nebraska's is that what it is? Okay.
I thought I saw Iowa was favored. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong.
What I saw was Nebraska by 4.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know where I read that, but yeah, that makes more sense. I was so punchless offensively, but I wouldn't bet against them because this Nebraska team has really got a patent on getting beat close, don't they?
Yes. They.
It's amazing to turn them the way they can screw up the end of a game. But meanwhile, I was, I would probably intercept 4 passes and beat them. I wouldn't bet against them. But yeah, they got a real good chance. And then thing about Wisconsin coming in there, they're playing really good, but they only got 1 running back. They've had they're just like the Vikings. They've had all these injuries at running back, but they only have this Brandon Allen kid back left. If he gets hurt, they don't have anybody. And, they're going to come in here and try to run the ball 30 times. So it would be kind of a farce if the Gophers actually were to make it if the Gophers make it to the Big Ten championship game. I don't think, and Ohio State's waiting for him. I don't think it'll be as close as it was at Target Field. U.S. Bank, or what do we call it now?
Huntington Bank Stadium.
I get confused.
Just list all the stadiums. We'll get there eventually.
Huntington Bank, or whatever the hell stadium it is. I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a thriller like it was in the opener.
What was it, 49-0 over Michigan State at halftime the other day?
Yes. Yeah, Michigan State's been a fraud all year. But hey, people who are making fun of Fleck getting another 2 years on his contract and then turning around and losing to Illinois at home. How about Mel Tucker getting a 10-year deal at Michigan State, and then they're behind by 100 at halftime? That was, but Ohio State looks like the real deal now. So, Nebraska, I was 50-50. And then after that, you basically got to beat Wisconsin because you don't have to sit around all day waiting to see how Indiana is going to come out. That's for sure.
You should.
Purdue will beat them by 3 touchdowns. So you got to beat Wisconsin at home. Last time they had this chance to do this, Wisconsin had Jonathan Taylor, and they couldn't stop him, and they got their ass kicked. But you're better than. I think this team is more talented than the team that went to the Citrus Bowl or whatever we call that now down in Orlando, that 11-2 team. I think this team is more talented, but they've been more erratic. And a lot of it's been Morgan not playing as well. But he discovered his that he had a great wide receiver on Saturday. So, I'd say Nebraska, Iowa's a coin flip, and Gophers, Wisconsin's a coin flip. But I didn't see what's the number of.
I just looked it up again. Yeah, Nebraska, Iowa opened as a pick 'em, and now it's Nebraska minus 3.5. So it's
wow.
The money moved quickly on that one. People like Nebraska, and it is at Nebraska. So
yeah.
But they're 3-7. I mean, when was the last time a 3-7 team against what is Iowa 9-2? I think.
Yes. But Iowa doesn't have a quarterback, So that kid is the new one is not a hell of a lot better than the other one, Padilla, but Petrus was terrible. So, yeah, I mean, but then again, Nebraska has a Martinez. So as long as you got a Martinez, you're going to end up having somebody throw a big interception. So that's, they've had 2 of them now. And
yeah,
the Gophers had a shot. They don't deserve to have a shot, but they do have a shot because it's, I don't think anybody's ever won a division at 6-3, have they, since the Big Ten went to this system?
I'd be surprised. Yeah, that would be that's a tough one to imagine. But they did what they had to do Saturday at the very least. They, Indiana's no good, and they got behind early. They got behind 7-0. Indiana looked like it had a little momentum, and then they just were able to put that away. 35-14, I think was the final. I mean, and again, a team that's had a hard time winning the layups this year. Bowling Green, Illinois, being the 2 prime examples of that. So at the very least, they did what they needed to do. But yeah, it sets up to be pretty good viewing next weekend at the very least.
They are these 2 teams are very similar. I mean, the Vikings had a raucous win at home yesterday, but before yesterday, both of these teams have played more poorly at home than they have on the road. So the Vikings and the
that's true.
Gophers have, both of their amazing clunkers have been on the road. By the way, it was a big showdown last week on Action Day, and Miami, the team the Gophers beat, defeated Bowling Green, the team they lost to. I've been doing Bowling Green update. I believe they're 2-8 now. So
wow, that's amazing.
The Gophers, I think they won 1 in their league, and they beat the Gophers. So they got a shot. I'd say they got a 40% shot, right? Because
sounds about right. Now
they owe us a good home game that they played well, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin is like the Gophers, have had some in-season transfers that they've lost, and it's weird. How about the Gopher defensive end who quit?
Yeah,
he's went in the transfer portal. What's wrong with these guys? Why don't you wait till?
It's too easy now.
Yeah, but why don't you wait a week? You're pouting. You get to play enough, so you say, what's the hurry to get the transfer portal, for God's sake?
I stumped Randy Johnson, by the way, a few weeks ago, and I asked him just kind of offhand on the podcast, like, if a guy enters the portal, can he play for another team in the same year?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so, but
they did eliminate that. Yes.
Okay.
But last year they did have, I believe, basketball players who next semester. I don't think you can do it. I think they shut that down.
Okay.
But they did have like, softball players leaving in December and playing in January. The home run, in softball, which has always had the wide open.
Right.
They didn't have one, but who's the slugger that went to Florida? The catcher, Kendall, whatever her name was.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ended up, she left here she told her teammates about December 1st, and she was playing. I did a piece on her in Florida on January 10th or something. So Kendall Lindemann, right? Lindemann?
Yeah, that sounds right. Sounds right.
Anyway, yeah, it's a goofy world we live in, but I mean, what people should realize, I think there's a perception that if you lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and they obviously would then be selected for the playoff, that the Big Ten West team goes to the Rose Bowl. That's not happening. They don't have to take the Big Ten West champion. If they lose, they can take Michigan. So the loser of the Michigan Ohio State game is likely to go to the Rose Bowl, not the Gophers. So unless the only way they're going to a big bowl game is if they win the Big Ten championship.
That would be unlikely. That's got to classify that as
although
unlikely.
I think they could hang with Michigan because they aren't explosive play. But if they play Ohio State, the Stroud kid was 32 for 35 for 425 yards and 6 touchdowns, and they took him out in the middle of the third quarter, basically.
That's not bad. That'll work.
No.
Well, Patrick, we've been entirely too positive on this podcast today. Positive Patrick.
Well, I tried to throw a little negative in there with the refs and the.
You did. I appreciate that.
the the glory of beating an Indiana team that's horrible.
That's
so
true.
I'm not getting that excited.
You find a way. You find a way. But we got to talk Minnesota United soccer for a bit here. We don't do a ton of that on Mondays. Usually soccer is probably not your first, second, or seventh favorite sport. But they lose 3-1 to Portland in single elimination playoffs on Sunday. It had been about 16 weeks since they'd played after MLS gave them a nice time off. Everybody gets a bye. No, it's a dumb playoff system. It's bad, but I don't know if they're rusty or what it is. They didn't look good. They find out right before the game's going to start. They lose their starting goalkeeper. He went on the COVID list. Tyler Miller said to play Dane St. Clair. I don't think it was St. Clair's fault, but 3-1. They get the first goal, and then after that, it was kind of Portland for 75 minutes, just relentlessly attacking them, and they had no answer. They didn't look like they had much juice for a playoff game. I watched most of it. They just didn't look like they had much life in them to put up much of a fight, especially after they went down 2-1.
I watched bits and pieces. I'd flip over there once in a while and watch it, and they had all this success against Portland in the past. I don't know if that means anything. And
2-0 this season too.
Yeah. But whenever I read Heath's quotes and I was reading them after that loss, there's another coach who thinks he might get fired. His whole thing was this amazing comeback they made from 0-4, and we've had a lot of injuries, and that is a sport, boy, where that coach doesn't stand up and take the bullet too often, do they? This guy can rattle off what a great season it was when you limped into the playoffs. He's a guy that I thought I was reading quotes from a guy lobbying to keep his job when I saw that, and I don't know. I saw some of our comments. We don't get that many on our soccer stories, but fire the Heath.
Heath out is the hashtag on Twitter. Heath out. Yeah. They've been using that one all year.
And what don't they like about it?
I think they don't like that tactically. He looks. I think sometimes they think he plays either wrong formations, poor adjustments, things like that.
Conservative, or too conservative, or not conservative enough? What are they?
Just wrong. And he was on the he had a great line on the podcast the other day.
What was it?
Where he said, he said everybody else talks about hindsight. Yeah, hindsight United is undefeated.
Well, and then I was looking through your stuff yesterday. Back 6-8 weeks ago, or maybe even when the season was 3 months ago, he was complaining about social media too.
Yes, he hates that.
Yeah, well, what the hell? Don't look at it. Jeez Louise, it's it really is the European approach to sports, where every soccer more than anything is this. Every win is glorious. Every loss is, horrible. I remember being on the I was at the Ryder Cup in Spain, and Europe beat the U.S. right with Tiger the first time in Valderrama, and I was in London the next day. We were in London. We got to London and then spent a day and then but reading the London papers, you would think that Europe once again won World War II. It was, the glory of the overwritten glory of this victory over the U.S. 14.5 to 13.5 with Sebi as the coach, we are not an international sports market. We are a hemispheric or continental. We're a continental sports market, right? Europe, it's world. They worry about whether New Zealand is going to beat Thailand in cricket or not. I mean, it's a completely different world, and that's the way soccer. That's the way Heath, and that's the way a lot of these soccer guys approach every match. Oh, the glory! I heard whatever his name is, the heavy breather, the Caleb, whatever his name is, the glory of the when they beat the LA, or they tied LA to get into the playoffs. Right, they had to tie LA.
They did, yeah.
I heard his post game. He sensed this incredible pail having fallen over Los Angeles because the team didn't make the playoffs or something. And it's kind of the way kind of when I read the Heath quotes about that hindsight United is unbeaten or something. It's what it's you're playing a random game, man. It's like soccer. I mean, it's like hockey. It's a random game. If somebody scores a goal that they shouldn't score, you get beat. Now, yesterday they obviously got outplayed and richly deserved the loss. But a lot of times soccer, like hockey, a lot of time the teams that play, usually in other sports, the team that plays the best wins. That's not necessarily the case in soccer and hockey in my brain anyway.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, when you got so few goals,
yes.
In the Wild games lately, there's been a lot more goals, so it's been a little different. They had a couple big offensive outputs, but the defense didn't quite hold this weekend. But yeah, hockey and soccer, it looks like, when you get matches that are 1-0, 2-1, or 1-1 going into extra time, it's like, if you get one fluke goal, especially in soccer, makes a huge difference. Makes all the difference in the world.
It's what's intriguing to me here is, as a guy who can go back and name the Kicks lineup, right? Even though I didn't cover them or watch them much.
Right.
Is this the world of soccer that we now live in, that the roster is constant flux? Because, I listen to a game now and I've heard about 5 of the guys. This guy that keeps getting in trouble,
Franco Fragapane,
whatever. Where did he come from? When did he show up?
Right in the middle of the season this year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess if you're a soccer fan, you could say the same thing about baseball. So that the rosters keeps changing. But it's hard for us non-soccer guys to even know who I'm listening to the play-by-play on the radio yesterday, and he was telling me who was bringing the ball up the side, and I didn't know which team he was playing for. Like I finally figured out that this one guy from Portland that got the 2 goals was playing for Portland, not for us. So
well, that's good.
It's confusing to us non-soccer guys, but hey, I hope Heath keeps his job, because you might get a less crazy guy to coach you. And I love his quotes when he gets mad, and he can still ream out his team for playing a clunker and stuff like that. And I don't know, is that ethic changing? And that ethic is probably not changing in soccer. We probably don't get the guy that, we probably don't get a Rocco type in soccer who tries to sugarcoat everything.
No, I don't think so. When you got to wear a suit on the sideline, I think you're going to.
Yeah, that's true. Is that a rule? I couldn't come out there looking like Bill Belichick if I wanted to.
I don't know if you have to, but they always seem to. So at least a lot of the times, and both the guys yesterday were suited up.
Let me throw this in, by the way. I just mentioned Belichick, and I went on Twitter on this. I said I would rather shovel elephant dung in the circus than cover him, but he is the greatest coach in any sport of my lifetime. It's unbelievable that he's got this team now playing better than anybody in the AFC with a rookie quarterback and slapping his defense back together, and they just go out and they're just steamrolling teams. It's incredible. This guy is unbelievable. That he sees all on both sides of the ball. He sees everything.
Maybe we'll get that dream matchup outside of how Vikings fans might want it to go, of Buccaneers and Patriots in the Super Bowl this year.
Oh yeah, you think the NFL they're gonna I'd hate to be playing either of those teams in the conference
Yeah.
finals and see how you get refereed in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Patrick, we got to talk really quick. Timberwolves. My friends like to tease me. I've written about 8 variations of the blog post. Have the Wolves turned the corner? I'm not going to say they've turned the corner, but these last 3 games they look pretty good, especially this weekend when they just blasted Memphis after beating Sacramento and San Antonio. San Antonio was pretty lopsided too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Memphis.
It's a nice stretch at least.
What was Memphis's no-show? I guess they just mailed it in, but I mean they look great. They offensively, Cat's involved. They're getting him out. He should take 10 3-pointers a game. I mean he's their best shooter. I kind of like the idea that they got him out on the wing a little more offensively, as long as they keep him mixing it up down defensively. But he's playing really good. Edwards is a very interesting quote from Heath when he had his great game. The Edwards
Finch?
At the start of that streak from Finch. Yeah, when Finch said that he plays good. He plays really good 1 out of 3. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
We got to get him up to 2 out of 3. Yes. And so he's trying to keep him humble, but he's a competitor. He does take too many threes, I think, quick threes. But then when he came out and made 5 out of 5 on the other night when they blew out Memphis, it was. It's. I mean, when Russell is an asset instead of a liability, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line with this team this year is that they're going to go as far as. I mean, their 2 best players are still Edwards and Towns. They're their 2 most important players. But Russell was it will be that kind of tip the scales guy. If he has a good game, they got a good chance to win. If he has a poor game, they got a good chance to lose.
They have some other guys, Vanderbilt, that they almost let get away. Ended up giving him more money than they wanted to. That kid, he gets rebounds. He plays. He's a better complementary player than McDaniels is. And now they've got McDaniel coming off the bench and he's getting more shots and playing better. And Nazarene, I like him a lot. He's been hurt, but I like him as the backup. They got, not only are they better, they got about 9 players. They got a little depth, and you're not horrible when McLaughlin plays. He's okay. And,
Beverly is good. I like Beverly.
Yeah. Oh, Beverly, tremendous. He's changed their defense completely. I saw a long interview that Marnie had with him that was obviously done on Media Day that they keep rerunning on whatever their Wolves weekly show is. I stumbled across it. Pretty interesting cat that guy is. I also like the fact that he threw at least 2 F-bombs in there that they had to bleep out. So, I mean, he's really, they always tell you about they're going to change their defensive ethic, but that guy really has changed their defensive ethic. He is really good defensively. He makes he makes a steal at big times in the game. He got great hands, and he doesn't need many shots, so he's perfect for him. I think so. They've stumbled onto the right starting lineup and the right guys coming off the bench. They've looked good. There's no excuse for them not to win 36, 37, 38 and make they shouldn't be fighting to be 7, 8, 9, or 10. They should be fighting to be 6. I don't know if the West is not that great this year. No. And they were fun to watch here on this little streak. Now we'll see what happens.
Yep, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens the rest of this. What's that?
As a blogger, and you do a lot of Wolf stuff, you have discovered there's nothing worse than putting that 1 foot on the Wolves bandwagon, because then they're going to hit you with a big stick or something. But I mean, they look good to me. I like the team. I like this team.
Well, you probably saw when they were 4-9, I wrote, well, they better do something in this next 4-game stretch, or they better get ready to trade Cat or something, something crazy. Right, they look terrible. And then all of a sudden, they win 3 in a row. And, here's my theory. Maybe we can end with this. My theory is that when we write about streaks or, trends that are happening, people accuse us of jinxing it when things go wrong. But really what's happening is just like, it's a regression to the mean or the other way. It's a progression to the mean where it's like you wrote about something happening that's unexpected. What's probably going to happen next is things are going to even out. So there you go.
Well, yes. And look at the Vikings. I mean, they've had some tough losses and that, the narrative becomes, boy, they could be 8-2. Well, okay. But they could be 3-7 too if the Lions hadn't given them a game back, and if they didn't get assistance yesterday, they could, if that interception is an interception, they lose that game. So so they they've gotten back to they've gotten those games that they had get away from them. They've gotten them back now, so they're
all square. 5-5 is about what they should be.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, anyway,
well, we'll see what they are next week. Got to go to San Francisco. College football is going to be huge next weekend too. Should be a good show on Monday next week. Programming note: no show Friday this week. We're going to give it one day of rest over the holiday weekend, but we will do a Thanksgiving show.
Okay, and I have looked it up. Huntington Bank Stadium is the name of that stadium. I looked it up there. It's
yes.
We call it, with those of us in the know, call it the Hunt. Do we call it the Hunt?
They're in the hunt. We're in the hunt, baby.
Do we call it the Hunt? The stadium?
I don't know.
What do we call it?
We should. Yeah. I don't know. We just call it the bank still. You can still call it the bank.
Just a different bank. Okay.
Thanks, Patrick.
All righty.